For me, the first benefit of experimentation is to help you to take decision. Is it the right decision to implement a new search bar on your website? Is it a good decision to redo the redesign of our product page? And you will have a yes, no.
A mature CRO program? And how does this maturity reflect on client management? What are some steps to becoming a mature CRO program? Today, we are exploring these topics with Achille Vaulot, a pioneer in conversion rate optimization. You guys should know Achille from Conversion Mentors, a platform where he can teach you all about CRO training and teach you how to boost revenue. My name is Anna Kerkovic, and you're watching the Experiment Nation podcast. So, Achille, you've been in the industry practically from the beginning. Can you please tell me how has the attitude towards CRO changed in the last decade? And what were some misconceptions that clients or stakeholders used to have back then? And what are some misconceptions today?
Okay, so yeah, I've been in CRO for about 12 years now. So I'm not a pioneer. I didn't start with the very, very first tool, but pretty much. Um, so the way it evolved, it depends on different country. So as I started my career in UK, which was quite advanced compared to France, where basically now I'm based. We know that basically the one that started to do the most of the conversion were big company like Google, Apple, Booking in Europe, which was a big one, and so on. And so I think it evolved. This company was basically the company that boosted the way we were how to do a CRO, because they had the traffic volume, they had the technology, they had the people who knew how to do stats. They had the technical team to code the test and everything. And when I started my career was back in 2013, 2014. We started to see like new tools that allow to make people in marketing use use the A/B testing, like understand what was the A/B testing, what is a zero practice, and so on. And so this evolved quite a bit because we saw first they were like uh, I don't remember the first name of this A/B testing tool, but we had in Google Analytics, basically you had the speed test at the beginning, and after you had new tools who appeared. So back in the time I was working with Optimizely, you had VW who was also like a new tool. In France, A/B testing started to grow. Now you have a Convert, and you have plenty of new tools. And I think that these tools, what they made is allow the access to do A/B testing on different company with like a reasonable price, depending of the tool, obviously. Uh, and so I think this is how it started.
So,
Um,
like with anything, technology pretty much changes the whole attitude and the whole picture of it. So,
yeah,
with improvement of technology, the
I think
attitude and awareness
the
raises.
technology allows the people to use it, and basically the agencies they could easily train people to start learning the tool, implementing it on the different websites. After, the big issue is still the maturity of the market regarding CRO, because if we look at LinkedIn, what is CRO? You have plenty of guys who say they are doing CRO for 5 years, and they don't even know that to do a statistical significant test. So it's it's quite funny. And in CRO, even me, when I was in a different agency, for them having a guy who do analysis on Content Square is a guy in CRO, and I'm like, it's one bit of the CRO program, but a CRO expert maybe is more like the guy who do the strategy, who know how to run the test, who basically do like a research plan, but you might not be this guy who will do the research. it depends on the size of the company. But for me, a guy who just doing like a content square analysis on his side and giving the analysis back to I don't know, his product manager or what else, is not a guy who is doing basically zero. It's just a guy who is doing a research, and it could be like I don't know, an analyst.
Hi, this is Romo Santiago from Experiment Nation. If you'd like to connect with hundreds of experimenters from around the world, consider joining our Slack channel. You can find the link in the description. Now back to the episode.
You're making a great introduction to what I want to ask you next. So basically, uh, let me know. So tell me about uh, how to become a mature program. Um, what makes the mature program uh, be mature when it comes to, for example, research, post-test analysis, how much time is spent on post-test analysis, also what you mentioned, the team structure. So how does the organization of a mature team look like? Also, when it comes to communication with clients, this is what I'm really interested in hearing the most. And how does all of this differ from a beginning uh, uh, CRO program? Of course, you already
Yeah.
described that, but let's make some parallels there.
Yeah. So I think there is several points. The first point is when you arrive in the company. First, the question is, did they already did zero in before, or are they doing zero right now? How many people are working in the team? So here you kind of have the maturity of the client. You have this maturity, but after you have the maturity of the client in his environment. You take like a specific industry, they are quite like they are not in the they are not with all the latest technology. So you arrive on the site and you know that they already have a depth in terms of the UX, best practice, all this kind of stuff. And so here you know that if they have an experimentation program or if they are starting, you know that most of the allocation of the time will be fixing basically the basic issue, and you will use all the best practice and so on. But you will maybe some you will implement on the website because you know it will work, or some you will A/B test them. It will depend basically if you know the industry, if like if it's a must have. For example, the guy don't have a search bar on his website, you know that you're not gonna test this kind of stuff. But like it's an example. And after, so you have the maturity of the client, and after I think the second question is how many people do you have in the team. If the guy is started, maybe you have to prove what is zero and what are the benefits of zero. So it's better to start with maybe an external agency and one point of contact in the company, and all the all the program of zero is externalized from the define the strategy. So the define the strategy will do with the company so to understand what is the main value proposition, what are the KPI that they are looking to improve, and so on. And after the research, you will ask them, do you have a research? You do research on your website or not? If you don't, this will be all managed by the agency. So the agency will tell the KPI, the strategy, and so on. After do some research, define like a roadmap of A/B testing that they could run, and they will run the A/B test from A to Z. The dev will be inside the company and so on. This is basically the proof of we are going to do zero, we are going to test some stuff, and we are going to show you what is the benefit of experimentation. For me, the first benefit of experimentation is to help you to take decision. Is it the right decision to implement a new search bar on your website? Is it a good decision to redo the redesign of our product page? And you will have a yes, no. And sometimes, if the client is more advanced and you've got the data, you will also be able to give them like a ROI or ROTI on the implementation they will do. So that will allow them to understand if I do the redesign of my product page, what is the increase of revenue that we generate. And based on this, they will know, okay, we can allow this amount of budget to redesign the web page. And it's a benefit for us because the web page will improve conversion by X, and we invested also in the CRO program, which cost X, and they will basically do the addition to understand what is the ROI on the CRO program and on their decision that they took.
Okay, I mean that sounds like an ideal case
Yeah,
scenario. And of course, you want to show the clients and the stakeholders the benefits not only of just increasing conversion rate, but also getting insights from the
yeah,
tests. And this brings me to my next question, because uh, how would you approach the situation when you have inconclusive test or a losing test? How would you present the benefits of such results to the client? And what happens? How do the clients react to this if they are a more mature client or a more beginner client?
okay, yeah. For the maturity, I think there's also a mindset. The American mindset of English mindset is you fail fast to succeed faster. In French is you can't fail. If you fail, you are a loser. It's bad. Next, we change agency.
Okay, so it's
So
based on countries. Okay.
yeah. So I think it's based on the way we've been like the way we are based on our education system. So this is like a little point. So I think it based on the different country it will change. In Spain, I don't know how they will react, but I know that in English, if I in UK or in US, if you fail, it will be easily to explain that basically it's a learning, and based on the learning that you will do, you will be able to find the solution afterward. In France, it's way harder to explain it. Uh, After, in terms of is my test is going to fail? For me, it's like checks. I know you say it in English, but chest, where yeah, chest. Uh, exactly. So basically, when you're gonna launch a test, you already think of what's gonna go bad. If he wins, okay, I validate my hypothesis, and the solution that I basically thought will fix the issue, or fix the or allow me to take this opportunity. But I also have to understand if it fail, what is my next move. And all this is planned in the strategy phase, which is way before doing the A/B testing. Is when you do the research, you do your strategy, you have a lot of issue. All these issue you need to put them in different buckets. I used to take the conversion equation made by marketing Sherpa, I think it was the name of the guy. It's basically yeah, they do like a conversion. You have a value proposition, incentive, anxiety, and friction. And so basically, every time I do some test, I will bucket all my idea of test inside of this different strategy. And so I know that, for example, for the first 3 months, I will focus on fixing the value proposition on the website, or removing any friction on the website. And I know that when I starting like with a client, it's way easier to improve the like to remove the friction on the checkout, and the checkout is the closest point to conversion. So I know that here I will easily get some big win that will generate value.
Right, right.
And so this is
And
the first phase.
yeah, so in summary, to me, it seems like a French approach is a great way to to plan strategy, because of course you want to plan for uh, the so-called post-mortem. So what
Yeah,
is going to I mean, what happens after you lose, and see all of the possible scenarios of why the test lost.
exactly.
But in terms of more, let's get more focused here and more detailed. So how would you guard yourself against, you know, how would you prepare yourself for the post-mortem analysis? would this include just custom events that you will follow that will get you more insights? I'm talking about secondary metrics, for example. How do you save yourself, or how do you prepare yourself to do the post-test analysis?
Basically, you will have your primary KPI of the test, the KPI that you want to this to be significant. And after, you always have like a secondary KPI. And in your secondary KPI, you will have maybe like how much revenue it generates, or action that will potentially have negative effect on your main KPI. Like it's always hard to explain KPI over a phone call because it depends on the industry. If you do e-commerce, it's pretty simple, but if you I don't know, if you do a conversion optimization on a tool like Figma, the KPIs, there's several KPIs that are important on the action that you want to improve. But for me, you will have your main KPI, secondary KPI, and based on this, for example, if your first KPI is negative, you will have your secondary, like a list of secondary KPI that you will be able to check to understand what already happened on your website. And this is more for the quantitative analysis, but after you can add a layer of qualitative analysis where maybe you plug like a heat map tool, or like, for example, Clarity with your testing tool. And so you can do like a more analysis to basically understand if your solution works. And after, I think sometimes you don't have to do too much analysis because you have an hypothesis of an issue, you have hypothesis of solutions, and if you have like one solution, second solution, third solution, the solutions have to be very different from each other. And so maybe we'll say, okay, we don't have enough traffic to test our 5 solutions, so we'll test 2 of them. And maybe if the 2 they lose, but you know that you have a following up test that will test the third and fourth solution that you basically found. So maybe it was maybe the fact that you have a negative result just explain that, okay, the solution doesn't work. Let's try the other ones.
Right, right. So kind of like having one hypothesis and then different predictions, different approaches to this one problem.
Exactly.
Can you give me some examples that you had in your career where, for example, you had to adapt your strategy to clients' business goals? And how do you balance this out when clients have business goals that they want to stick to, but you did your research, and of course, you know that some of the tests are, you believe, are higher priority based on clues. So how do you balance this out, and how do you manage clients' expectations?
Yeah. So if you start a CRO program with let's say a projection of a KPI, you are shooting yourself in the foot, basically. uh, so I always avoid this because you can't say, yeah, I'm sure that we increase your conversion rate by 10%. And we're in CRO, it's easy to say conversion rate, but in most of the time we'll focus on the RPV, the revenue per visitor, because it's a mix of the conversion rate and average order value. Because you can easily increase your conversion rate if you basically push all the product that cost €5 or $5 versus the one that are 2,000. So this is super important first to be focus on the right KPI based on your industry, because here it's like, for example, it's mainly for e-commerce. And after, I think the most important is explaining to the company that with an experimentation program, yes, the main goal is to generate growth. So it depends of the maturity of the business, because sometimes you will have to understand, okay, do we need to improve the way you acquire a user? So you have also your strategy where you have user landing on your website, and my job in CRO maybe will be to convert this first new user. after you have another strategy that will be how to improve the fact how to retain your user. So you know that they are coming back to your website, how to make them like buy a second time. After you can also do testing where you basically test new way to monetize stuff. So either they are testing a new product, either they are testing a new business model, this kind of stuff. Uh, so first, this is like different strategy to test, because it's not always generate growth. It's maybe understand new model to generate growth and not just improve the current RPV for the user. So this is super important, and you always have to understand the growth model of the company, because maybe you will decrease short-term the revenue per user, but you will open a new way to grow a new audience and maybe a newer revenue stream. For example, in France, you have a big site with Mano Mano, who's basically they resell all the stuff like you can use for garden or tables and so on. And they have several revenue stream. You have the fact that you land on this market where you can buy all the different kind of products. But they also display ads. So they have also a second, and after you have a B2B side. And so they have lots of different revenue stream. And in a way, the revenue streams, they may be taking traffic from each other or degrading the experience. But in a way, you maybe degrading a bit of the experience of the one area of user, but you may be gaining way more money with the other stream. So I think it's super important to understand how the company grows. So what are the growth model, what are the value proposition, and what are the objective short term and long term.
Right. And how do you actively learn about the company's problems? Do you have some strategies there? And what would you share in this aspect?
Yeah, each time I start with my agency, each time we start working with clients, we always have a kickoff with the main stakeholders to understand first, okay, what are the business model, what are the strategy short term and long term on term of objective that they have overall. After, in which with which team do you want us to work? Because, for example, in France, the market is not that mature, so maybe we mainly work with a marketing team. But maybe in more advanced clients, we'll work with a product team because we do a server-side testing versus rest. And after, maybe you will work with acquisition team and so on. So you always have to understand where you're going to work and what is your main lever in terms of growth that you will do, which will you work in basically.
Right, right. So basically, sitting down with a client,
Yeah.
interviewing them, uh, basically having open communication about all of that, seeing where you are in their process and what they expect in the long run and short run.
Yeah, this is like the basis, and after you will do basically research to understand the market, what are the different competitors. Yeah, like you try basically to do all the meta-analysis of the market.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. And what would you say are the main factors that are contributing to client happiness? Because like we talked about, it's not always easy to promise win rate. Projected revenue is a tricky metric, so to say, in some ways. Of course, we talked about setting clear expectations from the beginning, but in your rich experience, what do you think are also big factors for client satisfaction?
Yeah, so based on all the testing, like experimentation program that I've run, you find kind of 3 to 4 metrics that basically the agencies say if they are good agencies. It's either the number of tests they run. Okay, we've run 2,000 yeah, we're 2000 tests. We are super fast, and so you sell basically a number of tests. It's not very ideal, but it's one KPI. After you have the win rate that you spoke about. After you have the total value created, because you can have a good win rate, but that win rate almost like no money. So after you can have the value created by the program, and after you can also have let's say a fourth area that will be the capability to find new opportunities on the website. So more like, I would say, more innovation side of the area, which is maybe for a more advanced company. So I think these are the main KPI to say, okay, are we good, or are we not good? Uh, for me, the one that I liked is more the capability to, when you started your program, the capability to identify opportunity and a problem that you basically have on the website, and after fix them to generate an added value. This is for a simple company that they just want more money, so this is the basic area. But for more advanced company that kind of no experimentation and so on, here you have basically to understand, okay, we are going to help you, but what is the lever that you want to work on this quarter? And they will be, okay, we want to improve the retention of your user, and this will be a specific objective, yeah, and you will have like a specific KPI on this main objective that will be okay, did we manage to increase retention or not?
Of course, yes, that's also very
Yeah.
specific, and uh, I really like the fact that you're also contributing to overall value
Yeah.
and not focusing on conversion rate.
Yeah. And after, one stuff that we used to do, and I was working for the Times, is that in the experimentation research we did a lot of qualitative research. So we did a lot of survey that allows the client to understand how his audience respond to the different products, what is lacking on the website, what is the type of product that they like, what do they like to read, all this stuff. And this research kind of help the product team to refine their value proposition. So on one side, you get it to improve the website for us that we run a CRO, but you give also value of research to the product team.
Yeah, that's a great example of
Yeah.
cooperation uh, inside the structure. Yeah, that sounds great. And uh, can you, for the end of the episode, can you tell me how to evolve and use feedback to grow more and more mature?
Yeah, I think the main point to grow more and more mature is more to evangelize the people in the company. Because if you just keep your agency, your agency that help you will never evolve, because the agency, uh, we don't know our product, we don't work in your overall company, so we will never have the best idea of the planet. The idea to scale a zero experimentation program is basically to implement the mindset of experimentation in each part of your different team in your company. So let's say the team that work on the checkout, will work with the product team, the developer, and so on. And this team will have their idea, and they will be able to improve this area of the website. You will have another team, I don't know, on the home page, on the product page. After, it's an example of e-commerce, but after, if you are working on Netflix, you have a lot of different features. But basically, in each feature team, you need to have the mindset of zero to basically validate everything that you're gonna release. And this way, all the companies, they work on the let's say mini zero program, but they all coordinate the learnings, and this way the company can evolve, and you scale way more.
Of course, yes, of course. So education is the main thing,
Yeah.
and yeah, the willingness to learn, and also giving everybody opportunities to learn about CRO.
Yeah, exactly. And one point is like, I know that in Asia they are a bit way more advanced in server side like the fact to do a CRO in server side. And one time when I was speaking with a developer, it was like, okay, before we fear to release code because each time we release code, it generates issue and so on. And the fact that they were doing feature release via A/B testing, they could release code way often, but the code was basically on 2% of the audience, after 3%, and after you balance. It's a bit of feature flag way of doing stuff, but it allows the developer to not fear to do issue, and you can release code way more often and basically minimize the risk as you are doing A/B testing on this new release.
Yes, and everybody needs to have the sense of responsibility for
Yeah.
experiments. That makes sense. Achille, thank you for this conversation. It has been amazing, and I learned a lot of stuff. So I wish we can have another one very soon
Yeah.
to deepen this topic or choose another one. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thank you
and
too.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, this is Romo Santiago from Experiment Nation. If you'd like to connect with hundreds of experimenters from around the world, consider joining our Slack channel. You can find the link in the description.